Hi everyone, we will get started at 7:05 in a few minutes. So we can go ahead and get started. Hi everyone, welcome to our first installment of the third Thursday Community Town Hall series. As some background, the Alliance is a nonprofit organization that has served the greater Houston area for more than 35 years and has a long history of resettling refugees in Houston. We provide a number of comprehensive services to help refugees, immigrants, and underserved residents secure the resources they need to attain self-sufficiency and improve their quality of life. We are incredibly proud to be resettling Afghan allies who will now be calling Houston home. Today, we will be providing an update on our Afghan Allies program. My name is Delina, and I am the Job Readiness and Cultural Support Specialist. Today, I am joined by Omar, our Community Engagement and Sponsorship Senior Program Manager, and Miranda Joyce, our Refugee Services Community Engagement Vista. We will start today with a few slides updating you all on our Afghan Allies program, and then we will have a conversation about current needs, advocacy, and how others can get involved in our work. Please feel free to put any questions you have in the chat, and we will have time at the end to answer some of your questions. So I'll hand it over to you, Omar, to go ahead and get us started.
Thank you so much, Delina. And welcome to everyone who's joining us on Facebook. So a little bit about the urgency of the situation. As many of you may know, over 70,000 Afghans were evacuated after the American troops left the area and the Taliban retook the country. So Afghan civilians, many of these Afghan civilians that we evacuated risked their lives to serve critical roles with the Allied forces, including interpretation, cultural guidance, and intelligence gathering. And most of these Afghan evacuees are currently being housed on local military bases, including Fort Bliss here in Texas. A little bit about our Afghan Allies program. So we are a resettlement agency and our services are very wide-reaching. So we primarily focus on resettling families who have been evacuated and have been vetted and cleared off the bases. We provide them with everything from housing to food to access to local healthcare, legal services, financial assistance, picking them up from the airport, getting them ready for job placement, and including crucially mental health services through our wellness clinic. Now I'm going to hand it off to Miranda, who's going to walk us through a little bit about the vetting process.
Yeah, thanks so much, Omar. So just to give you all an idea of the process that our Afghan evacuees are going through before we're actually able to welcome and resettle them. So all Afghans have been through a vetting process in military bases in the US, and this process includes things like ID verification, biometric screening, medical screening, and security screening. So the first stage of this process here, evacuated to US and other nations, that started happening mostly in July and August of 2021. And then the next step, folks arrived at welcome center bases all across the US, like Omar said, Fort Bliss here in Texas. And while at welcome centers, they went through a very strict screening process. They received health checks, they got their first dose of the COVID vaccine, and they were able to apply for employment authorization. And then finally, we get to welcome our new neighbors. So organizations like the Alliance welcome these Afghan evacuees at the airport, and we were able to settle them in furnished apartments to start their new lives here in Houston. And just to give you all a snapshot of the data and what things are looking like right now. So we have welcomed lots of new neighbors already. So as of last week, our organization, the Alliance, has welcomed 919 Afghan evacuees to Houston, and we're really excited to welcome hundreds more in the coming months. And this chart here on the right, this shows you Afghan evacuees in Houston in total, so across our 4 resettlement organizations that are welcoming Afghans. And so the last time we pulled data here was January 3rd of this year, but as you can see, we've already welcomed nearly 3,500 folks to Houston, and we have many more coming. And I will turn it back over to you, Omar.
So we're currently piloting with the Ethiopian Development Council a new program for the community to get involved with. We're calling it the co-sponsorship program. Basically, this program is a little bit more intensive than normal volunteering. It is a huge time commitment. We're asking for small community groups of 7 or more people with the ability to raise a $3,000 donation that will be used specifically for a family that the community group is matched with, as well as in-kind donations for their family. So in-kind donations can be anything from furniture to clothes, electronics, laptops, TVs for these families. So we're really asking, we know this is a big ask from the community and it's not necessarily for everyone, but anybody who's looking for an opportunity to create and strengthen bonds with our refugee population are really ideal for this program. We're really looking for passionate and empathetic individuals with the time and fundraising capability, ability to be self-organized and dedicated, and an eagerness to learn about the resettlement process. A lot of these co-sponsorship groups will be more involved in our normal volunteers, including picking refugees up from the airport, helping them, assisting them with enrolling their kids in school, taking them to the zoo. So a lot of the physical needs that are necessary with the with reception and resettlement process, as well as giving them that cultural knowledge as a neighbor in the Houston area of what that looks of what makes Houston great, and how we can share your knowledge about the city.
Awesome. Thank you both. Oh, sorry. I thank you both for that overview. That was great. And now we're going to shift into more of a conversation. Once again, please ask any questions that you have in the chat so that we can address them at the end. So to start off, what are some of the needs in the Afghan community, and what are some challenges community members could help out with?
So speaking specifically about needs among the Afghan community, we always need more volunteers. We always need people to donate their time. We have received over 900 refugees on a very short period of time. A lot of those arrivals happened in December, so causing a lot of strain on agency resources. So we're currently looking at setting up volunteer opportunities for people to come help us enroll people into services, especially SNAP and Medicaid. So if anybody has any technical experience, we're really looking for people to really get involved that way. Any donations, a lot of the services that we provide to the Afghan community is refunded by the government, but we have to bear the upfront costs for a lot of those, for a lot of the services that are provided for the agency, including feeding them until they're able to get SNAP benefits or be resilient on their own, housing and rental assistance. So any small so anybody willing or able to set up their own, Facebook fundraiser or raise any in-kind donations for not only our Afghan refugees, but for refugees across the board, we would of course always really appreciate that. A lot of the struggles that we're having right now include access to those medical benefits, because due to the strain on the system due to COVID-19, a lot of those applications have been delayed. So we are having to really put a lot of focus into making sure that most of our Afghans have the things that they need to provide for their day-to-day lives until they're able to get those benefits.
Good to know. So how can folks that are interested in helping get involved?
Well, please follow us on social media. We'll be sharing those links later. We always have volunteer opportunities available throughout the community and in different areas. We try, right now we're looking at different volunteer opportunities, including taking supplies from the Alliance headquarters to different areas in which we have clustered our refugee populations so that they can have access. A lot of times transportation is a big issue among refugee populations as they come here with very, very little, and a car is usually not in the picture for a little while. So, helping us with those logistical needs is one of the big asks that we have right now.
Wonderful. And how would our Afghan Allies program benefit from the community sponsorship program? And how would this be any different than volunteering?
Well, it is a bigger commitment than volunteering, right? So it is a shift in the way we think about volunteerism in general. While most volunteering is like donating of your time for a specific amount of time, we're asking for a longer term commitment. So we are asking for a 12-month commitment with one family in particular. So really getting to know that family and getting to know their needs to be able to address them specifically, as well as sharing that cultural knowledge. Oftentimes, with a lot of volunteer opportunities, there's not a lot of direct access to those clients, and this provides the kind of a more in-depth step where you do get to interact with the clients directly and share some of that cultural knowledge and have some of that cultural exchange. I think this will be really beneficial for people willing to learn and grow and kind of be really open-minded about learning about diverse populations, as well as people from diverse populations being able to interact and kind of give back, to people who are just coming here and really trying to, reshape their lives in a new and strange place, right? And it gives people a chance, like it not only gives, the families that are matched an opportunity to be a little bit more self-sufficient, but it also provides them with like a kind of built-in family here in Houston, or a second, a second support system, if you will, that would be really invaluable to the families that we're able to match with.
Thank you.
Just to add to that too, this is also, tonight is the first time this program is being discussed publicly. And so expect lots more information to come. But if this is something you're interested in, feel free to reach out, and also just know that more information will be forthcoming, as this is the first time we've talked about it.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Miranda.
Thank you. And so what is needed from an advocacy standpoint?
So the biggest advocacy ask, so right now there is a bill in front of Congress called the Afghan Adjustment Act. This act is very, very similar to a lot of other adjustment acts with other refugee populations, including Haitians and Cubans. So basically, under international law, the current Afghan evacuees have a different status than many other refugees. So right now they're considered humanitarian parolees, which basically means that they have been allowed access to a different country and are allowed to seek asylum in that country. But that is a pretty long legal process. They have up to a year after arrival to apply for that process. And the Afghan Adjustment Act would easily change that status and allow them access, allow them greater access to be able to seek employment, get driver's licenses and be able to become more self-sufficient quicker than, of course, having to go through the asylum process, which is not guaranteed. And we really like to reiterate that a lot of the people coming, a lot of these Afghan evacuees are heroes, and a lot of them are in great danger if they would be in great danger, should I say, if they were to return to their home country. So we're really pushing to get that act, through Congress, so that these Afghans have so that our Afghan neighbors have a better opportunity to become self-sufficient and be part of our community as a full citizen and participate, in our democracy as well.
Wonderful. And what is the Alliance doing to help Afghan evacuees who have already been here for a while? And what type of services are being provided?
So cool thing about the Alliance's services is that we offer a lot of long-term programs to help build resiliency. Part of our mission is to not only help during the initial resettlement process, which usually is anywhere from a year to two, from 1 to 2 years, depending on the family situation, but we offer services to any refugee family for up to 5. Those include helping them set up their small business through our FOC program, which can deliver microloans up to $35,000. We do English language courses, courses teaching the refugee community how to drive. Additionally, through our adult education programs, we not only offer free services in technical fields such as phlebotomy, getting your CNA license, starting a home healthcare business, but we also offer those services to the community for a small fee, and that part of that fee also allows us to keep those programs free for our refugee clients who need these classes to be able to become self-sufficient in the future. Yeah, and those services are usually available to any of our refugee clients for up to 5 years after settlement. Additionally, one other thing I'd like to add is that a lot of our staff usually comes from refugee populations after coming through our programs or coming through other refugee resettlements agencies. We do tend to hire a lot of we tend to hire from the refugee population should they have the skills to be able to serve their community. And it is part of our mission in racial justice and equity to for our staff to look like the populations that we serve.
Absolutely. And how can I educate myself on the Afghan crisis and the needs of arriving evacuees?
So there's a variety of ways to educate yourself about the Afghan crisis. Of course, there's a ton of news articles that you can look up. But additionally, the Alliance, the YMCA International, Interfaith Ministries, and Catholic Charities all kind of grouped together to create the Houston Afghan Resettlement Collaborative. And through that collaborative, we created a website. It's houstonafghanhelp.org. Hoping that one of our other team members drops it in the chat. There you can go and educate yourself about local arrivals. You can see current arrival numbers, a lot of different cultural information about Afghans who are arriving, but also getting immersed into the community. Visit a local Afghani business. One that comes to mind is the Afghan Market, which is right across the street from our offices on Hillcroft. Being involved in the community is part of it, is patronizing and getting involved culturally. Are great ways to learn about the neighbors who are arriving.
And also, just to add, one of the Alliance's largest events that we have each year is our annual Mental Health and Wellness Conference. And so this year it's happening on March 3rd, which is a Thursday, and expect to get more information about that in the coming weeks. But that's another great opportunity to hear from local experts, people working in resettlement, people working in policy, and just learning more about, the Afghan crisis as well as refugee mental health kind of holistically.
Wonderful. Thank you both. So now we will go ahead and turn to some questions that are in the chat. So we have a few already. So our first one, for how long does the Alliance provide financial support to their refugees? I'm a working mom with 2 kids. So just wondering about for the financial support that the Alliance provides to the refugee arrivals.
So normally financial support comes directly from the government. It doesn't come from us directly. However, we do facilitate a lot of those payments. Oftentimes they are anywhere between 1 to 2 years of financial assistance, depending on any individual's situation, but it really is on a case-by-case basis, depending on when that refugee family can reach a sense of resilience or self-sufficiency. There are, of course, a myriad of other programs here in the Houston area that are also willing to help, and we're more than happy to connect anyone with any particular clients with any resources should they need it, or should they not be able to meet the resiliency goals, by the time that they're by the time that their financial assistance has been met.
Thank you for that. Another question, how successful have co-sponsorships been in the past? And what sort of work by co-sponsor organizations has been the most beneficial in the past?
Thank you for asking that question. We're actually partnering with the ECDC in a collaborative with different organizations across the United States. One of the most successful programs that we've seen currently is Denver. Denver has been piloting this program for a lot longer than we have. A lot of their successes has come from being able to engage the community in different, in this way. It creates a lot of grassroots activism among the community. Especially in the Denver area, a lot of the things that have been reported to us is that, through these connections, we're also able to build more resources for refugees in general, right? And those connections kind of have a domino effect of allowing more opportunities for Afghans inside of the community, because the more the community is involved and the more people know and get to know, Afghan refugees who are as real people and not as a news story, it kind of creates a domino effect of activating the community in different ways, allowing for more opportunities, allowing for more resources. A lot of the benefits that we've seen is that these families are anywhere between 75 to 85% more successful in reaching their resiliency goals, the ones that are matched. So we're really looking forward to piloting this program with our community and seeing how it goes.
Thank you. And so does the Alliance connect Afghan refugees to legal resources? And how do they know to apply for asylum after they've arrived under the parolee visa? Usually they're informed when they arrive. We also offer cultural orientation to let them know. A lot of our legal resources we refer out. Right now, one of our biggest partners is Tahare, and then of course HILS, or the Houston Immigration Legal Services Collaborative. There is a huge need for expanded capacity among legal services in the Houston area. If anybody has a legal degree out there and would like to do some pro bono work for the Afghan community, I would really help. Oftentimes they are notified upon arrival that they will have to apply for asylum services, either by us, the agency, or at the military bases when they arrive. Thank you for that. And what actions are local governments taking to address the needs of recently arrived refugees and asylum applicants?
We've seen, especially from local representatives, we've seen a lot of advocacy among for the Afghan community. We as an organization, we did meet with Sylvia Garcia before she went and toured one of the bases at Fort Bliss, and where she advocated for a lot of changes to be a lot more culturally sensitive. She actually reported back to us and told us that the military services who were administering those bases were really, really receptive and were doing their best to be as culturally sensitive and kind of address some of the concerns that we heard early on. Sheila Jackson Lee has been really involved in trying to activate the community for donations and volunteerism. And of course, Mayor Turner worked really hard and has worked with the Houston Afghan Resettlement Collaborative to kind of get the word out about our mission and the different things that we have been doing. We hosted Jeff Demers Jeff Demers, who is the state coordinator, and Governor Markle, who gave an address at Interfaith Ministries. He's the White House Afghan Allies Program Coordinator, I believe. And so we've seen a lot of support from local, from local representatives here in the Houston area. Miranda, did you have anything else you'd like to add to that question?
Yeah, I was just going to say the reason that Houston's been so successful in resettling evacuees is just because we're really diverse and our local leadership is very supportive. Like each step of the way, we've had people from the mayor's office, from the county, state representatives, US reps that are excited about our updates and want to know how they can help. And so that's just been very nice to go through the process, being in a city that is not only has welcoming volunteers and a welcoming community, but also a welcoming local government has been great.
Definitely. And one thing I would like to add to that question in particular is that Houston is slated to be either the first or the second city or the second metropolitan area to rehome a lot of these Afghan refugees. So we're expecting a lot of arrivals, and I think it's beautiful that the reception that we've gotten, not only the things that we've seen that the community has been able to do for our Afghan allies, but also the reception a lot of the allies are getting in the community has been really, really nice to see.
Awesome. Thank you both. And the last question that we just got in is, what support is available to Afghan refugees who are dealing with family separation, etc., and their spouse or children are still over there, but they're over here with no way of bringing their family in?
I'm going to thank whoever asked that question. I think whenever we talk about evacuation for a lot of these refugees, trauma is a big point that should be discussed. A lot, as the question stated, a lot of these families did have to separate and make very, very difficult decisions to leave certain members of their family behind. We are working with our wellness clinic to provide services in culturally sensitive way, as well as provide services in Dari and Pashto to clients. There are a couple of other groups in the area that are trauma focused, that are working to help the community, including the Afghan Women's Welcome Group, particularly has been setting up kind of trauma focused support groups for Afghan women in the area, for not only trauma and separation, but also raising the difficulties of raising a child in a different country than you're expected to, and different things like that. We're also really relying on partners at UT Physicians to really help us, with those medical needs, because they're real. And it's important to not neglect that. While a lot of while this experience has been, can be transformative, there are some mental health concerns among the community that need to be addressed.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for these amazing questions. So I'll go ahead and pass it back to you, Omar. You can let us know how to get involved with the Alliance.
Okay. So as we mentioned earlier, our next big event will be the Refugee Mental Health Conference that will be held on March 3rd. It will be virtual, so please look out for any social media communication on that. Hopefully, we'll be dropping information on the chat to see if anybody would like to get involved. We're also looking for volunteers for that event. Anybody with IT expertise, please feel free to use our volunteer portal to sign up to volunteer for that event as well. We also are consistently updating an Amazon wish list. We are in constant conversation with our case managers who are working on the ground every day with these refugees to update this wish list with different items the different common items that they're seeing among the Afghan population. And additionally, you can always visit our bit.ly for our volunteer site, which is Better Impact. If you're thinking about getting involved, please feel free to visit our website at Better Impact and signing up. You'll have access to be able to view all of our volunteer opportunities there. Please feel free to follow us on social media. All of our social media pages are in front of you. You obviously found us here, and we look forward to you following us on our other social media sites. We're constantly posting updates about the Afghan community there, as well as any updates about volunteer needs or volunteer asks from the community. And then, of course, if you're interested at all in the co-sponsorships program or have any or would like to connect to provide us with resources or any other community connections that you think will be beneficial for our Afghan allies or other refugee populations, please feel free to email me directly at the email that you see there.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so much, Omar and Miranda, for hosting this town hall that was super informative on our Afghan Allies program. And thank you all for joining us at the town hall. The next town hall will be held on February 17th. So please spread the word and feel free to contact Omar for any questions or anyone for any questions, comments, or concerns. Thank you all once again for attending and have a great night. Thank you.